Hello everyone, I am back, and in this video I will be talking about the introduction to the course. I thought of having it recorded because based on experience there are some students who cannot attend our virtual meeting or consultation, so they can still see and they can still um, know the things that I will be discussing here in this video. And also for your reference, if there might be um, parts of my discussion that are not so clear, then you can just go back to it. Okay? So this is our course, COMM 11, Purposive Communication. And here I will be talking about myself as your instructor, just a very brief introduction about myself. The course information, course content, lifelong learning opportunities that this course could offer you or provide you. Course assessment and evaluation, this includes the grading system and as well as our course policies. I have already mentioned some of these policies when I was communicating with you before, and we'll have more now. Okay. So as for me, being your instructor, this is my name, Mrs. Corazon A. Padilla, and I am a graduate of Bachelor of Elementary Education in VSU. After graduating, I was hired as a graduate teaching assistant at the Department of Science Education. Now it's Department of Teacher Education. I also passed the licensure examination for teachers in the same year. And after 2 years in DSE, I was hired as a faculty of the labs, and I finished my master's. So this degree, the degree Master of Education major in English in VSU, and now I am finishing the degree Doctor of Philosophy in English major in TESOL at Silliman University. So this is just a very brief introduction about myself. I will no longer talk about my hobbies and interests. Well, I am into playing sports, fun, entertainment, traveling, and also talking. I really love to talk. All right. Next, let's talk about the course information. So for the course, this is, I think you know very well. This is COMM 11, Purposive Communication. This takes 3 units. So this will take three part of in the computation of grade point average, and we are supposed to meet 3 hours per week, but we will not have that because we will be doing asynchronous learning. There might be times that I'll be calling you for some consultation meetings, just like what we'll have this week, but it will not be on a regular basis because there are some of you, just like in my classes this week or earlier, there were only 13 or 12 who attended out of 30. So there are a lot who cannot attend. So it would be better to do something like this or a recorded one so that everybody will have access to it. So the course, our course, COMM 11, is about writing, speaking, and presenting to different audiences for various purposes. So these are the skills, macro skills that we aim to develop in this course. It's very important because eventually once you graduate here in the university, you will be immersed to a lot of speaking appointments, presenting, and also writing. So these are the skills that are necessary in every field, I guess. So it develops your communicative competence and enhances your cultural and intercultural awareness through multimodal tasks that provide opportunities for communicating effectively and appropriately to a multicultural audience in a local or global context. So imagine there are already a lot of VSU graduates who are hired outside in different countries, and we can say that they are really good communicators. So eventually you will also be among those lists of proud Viscons. Then it equips students with tools for critical evaluation for a variety of texts and focuses on the power of language and impact of images to emphasize your delivery of message. Okay, so we have to properly consider the context. All right, everybody. No, maybe you might have mastered grammar. You might have mastered expressing yourself, but is that fitting or is that appropriate to situations or certain contexts? So that's that's a different thing. Okay, and hopefully soon, so we will be touching resume making, application letter making, and other um, other applications of writing, speaking, and presenting in different contexts. So it's actually a really broad. It encompasses a lot. Okay, in terms of communication. So with regard to the course content, okay, so we'll start, of course, with the VMGO, the university's vision, mission, goals, and objective, the core values that the university is upholding, and the quality policy statement of the Visayas State University. So it's important that you know the thrust and what the university is up to because you belong to the community in the VSU as students. So you will somehow be affected by this also. And this is why we are having this to learn the course content, policies, and grading system. We'll also have, for the clarification, setting of expectations, and getting to know each other, we will be having that during our meeting, okay? Our virtual meeting. And then we'll also have sharing of ideas, whatever you want to say to me and to your classmates. So we'll also, I think you're already familiar with the virtual classroom. I mean the Moodle e-learning portal that we are using. So that's where I am uploading all materials that we will be using for the entire semester. So I hope you're already familiar to that. But if not, please send me a message. Maybe I can help you in some ways. Next, we're done with that. Let's proceed to Module 1. So for Module 1, we'll talk about effective communication skills. Do you think you're a good communicator? Can you communicate effectively what you have in mind, your thoughts, your ideas? Do you have the proper tool? Okay. Do you also frame your ideas, or do you speak? Do you frame your ideas in English, or do you frame your ideas in your mother tongue? So that's quite different because if it's in the mother tongue, we have to do translation a lot in our minds. So that can actually affect our communication skills, especially when we do it in another language or the global language, which is English. So at the end of this lesson, he will explain the role of communication in everyday discourse and include examples to support the arguments, and also analyze the origins of miscommunication in different social contexts. So why is there miscommunication? And why do people get the different things? So why are we not getting what the other person is intending to send us? So is the problem in us, the receiver, or in the sender himself? And then formulate approaches to fix communication. So if there are some barriers, we can, like for example now that we are having this mode of instruction, we're using online teaching and learning. There are a lot of barriers here, a lot of noises as we call it, all right? One is, of course, internet connectivity. Like I might not be, that's why I am resorting to pre-recorded videos like this, because if I will do this online real time, my internet might not be that good, or it might be unstable. So there will be some parts of my discussions which will be unclear or vague because you can't hear me very well. Okay? Criticize the trust in the current communication mechanism, weaknesses and strengths. Then apply the basic concept, mechanism, principles to a particular situation, so how they influence the outcome of interaction. So we'll try to identify the different noises, technical noises, physical, emotional, mental, psychological, physiological. There are different kinds of noises in communication, and we have to cater to all those so we can deliver everything effectively. Just like when you're reporting, for example, and then you have this psychological noise because you're too nervous, then you cannot speak, and it's affecting your mental processing because you cannot process well the information because you're too nervous. So that's a noise, okay? Because you cannot effectively deliver what you want to convey to your audience or to your listeners. Okay, you will be having more of that. So we have here for lesson 1, the communication process as a, I think that was cut. Okay, we'll just talk about that later and soon. Now, for lesson number 1.2, communication in the academic setting. So it's quite different when we are communicating in the academe compared to everyday communication. So if you can, if you're fond of watching series, English US series, for example, they have a different way of communicating. It's quite colloquial compared to the academic setting. It's quite formal. So if you can notice, if we will be talking to Americans or native English speakers, we tend to be so formal if we talk to them because we are using the academic English. But for them, it's colloquial, it's informal English. So there's quite a difference in that. So here, at the end of this lesson, you will have an increased familiarity with the principles of self-diagnosis of speech preferences and problems in academic environments. You will also be able to understand how the world defines popular culture and practice and monitor speech while experimenting with program practices and participating in everyday conversation. So these are the objectives for this lesson. And after that, in module 2, I guess this is 2. Oh, no. It's still under module 1, lesson number 2, principles of communication. So we'll now elucidate and explain the updating core communication principles. So what are the principles of communication that we should follow for us to effectively deliver our intended message? Then create a poster or its corresponding audiovisual. So using the concepts of communication. Next, we'll have lesson number 3. This is talking about communication ethics. I think there are quite a lot of modules that are included in this course, but it would be so stressful if we'll be having if we'll be having tasks in every lesson, like 2 tasks of 1 learning and then 1 assessment task. So I will just be choosing some tasks for specific lessons. Right? We'll not have this is for you and also for me because there are a lot of you, a number of students, and then I will be receiving quite like 1,000 maybe if we'll be having 2 outputs for every lesson. Lesson number 3, communication ethics. So at the end of this lesson, you will be able to practice greater attention to its ethical issues in all ways, modes, and purposes of communication, and also carefully evaluate your daily choices and communicative transactions. So there are also different kinds of transactions that we are doing based also on the people we are involved and we are dealing with, okay, and the purpose. We have here also for module number 2, communication and globalization. So first we'll talk about globalization, where we'll explain how cultural and economic problems are influencing globalization. Also valuing the effect of connectivity on cultural environment. Okay, so we'll talk more about that soon. We'll have local and global communication for lesson 2.2. So we'll determine culturally appropriate terms, expressions, and images. So for us to be great or good communicators, or to be considered good communicators, we have to be knowledgeable and we have to acknowledge the culture of the person we are speaking to, right? Or we're speaking with. So, for example, we go to another country and they have, of course, they're also they are having this umbrella of practices, customs, and traditions, which we also have. So the differences of cultures might cause a barrier or interference in effective communication. So we have to also be sensitive to other people's culture. Okay, gender, race, and class. So we also have to adopt cultural awareness and sensitivity in communicating ideas. So that's what this lesson is for. And then for lesson number 2.3, we'll talk about the varieties and registers of spoken and written language. So there are actually this sort of terms. So we have different varieties. Like here in Bye Bye, we have different varieties of Baybayanon Bisaya, or it's I don't know how this is called, but we have actually from the Baybay proper to Pangasugan, we have different varieties of Cebuano there. Okay, Sinubuanong Bisaya. Okay, I don't know if we have Binaybayanon nga Bisaya, if that is already existing. And there's also registers like when if it depends on the context. When you say context, this is when, who, and why or where. Okay, so where are you? Where is the conversation happening? Is it in the classroom? Is it in the office? Or is it at home? So we are using different registers depending on who we are speaking to or where the conversation is happening. Right? So that's what we will be talking about here. So we'll discuss and evaluate different language varieties and registers based on context. Next, for Module 3, we'll talk about communication in multimodal landscapes. So first, we'll talk about multimodality and its approaches. So here, at the end of this lesson, you will be elucidating the concepts of multimodality and employ the appropriate approach in evaluating the language of a multimodal text. So this is this is actually the trend now. Not only now though, but it has increased the use of multimodal approaches. Our approach is actually increased now that we are shifting from face-to-face teaching and learning to virtual or online or distance learning. Next, we have lesson number 3.2. This is about designing representations of reality in a multimodal paradigm. So here we will distinguish the various multimodal constructs used in different settings and design a multimodal output also that represents efficient communication. Okay, so I'm looking forward to this part. This is actually quite technical, so we'll be having maybe a more rigid or a more elaborate discussion about that. Next, for module number 4, communication aids and strategies using tools of technology. So this one is actually very relatable, especially for young people like you. We'll talk about digital revolution, why writing skills matter more than ever. So we'll define how solid communication skills will improve your career prospects and help professional success in today's challenging digital age workplace. So now, like for us teachers, we are actually facing this fact that we might not be replaced by technology but if we are not adapt to technology, we might be replaced by those teachers who are somehow an expert already in technology. So this is the thing. This is how the trend is now. Okay, the trend is now. So we have here lesson 4.2, preparing digital age email messages. So how can we appropriately send email messages to certain people? Okay, so we'll understand the professional standards, the structure, format of emails in digital workplace, and also using appropriate language in writing emails. Next, for lesson number 4.3, we'll talk about social media. So you'll understand the purpose of social media networks. So what is this for? Is this for us to rant all our grievances? So is this where we can post every perfect thing or every good thing in our lives? So we also recognize further use of social media as a worldwide phenomenon, and then learn about the various ways of social media and how or know how social media shift the definition of communication. So there really is a big shift in communication, especially now that we are shifting to another world. There's the so-called virtual world where everybody knows somehow everybody, but they don't actually recognize everyone. Like they don't really know the real people, but they know everybody. So that's a different projection of ourselves. Okay. Next, we have module number 5, communication for various purposes. Here, we'll talk about visual communication. So we'll recognize the features of visual communication. What do we mean by that? Also, apply appropriate strategies for effective communication in contexts. About resumes, and at the end here, we'll try to survey employment and limiting your job, and then build print and digital resumes. So at least by now, you already have your prepared resumes. You'll just have to update them, okay? How do we also make an effective resume? So that's also one thing that we'll be discussing in this one. And then application letter is also another. So we'll recognize the role of the application letter, write a convincing letter of application for a work. So we'll try to also start doing this one. I don't know. We'll not be trying this to we'll not try to submit this in some employers. So to know if your application letter will really work. So we'll not do that because you might be called out for a job, and then you'll be stopping your studies. Okay. Anyways, compile a file and a portfolio. Sorry, it's an e-portfolio this time. Prepare for work interviews. So we'll be conducting work interviews, and of course we'll be simulating how interviews are done this time. Okay, this time of a pandemic. But I think everything will go back eventually, but I think not sooner yet. Okay, write an acceptable letter of thank you in response to a letter of approval or rejection. Okay, next, this is a thank you letter. Next, for the last module, this is about communication for academic purposes now. So how do we write in the academe? So we'll try to identify the typical reasons why we write, and then recognize how scholarly writing varies from different types of writing, and then elucidate the basic structure of an essay, and then assess the various disciplines across fields. Next, we'll talk about research proposals. Okay, this is, I think it depends on your course, but most of the courses in the Visayas State University are really requiring to conduct a thesis. So this will help you, right? Distinguish the content and form of scholarly papers. Write a research proposal on the grounds of your specific field. All right. So you will of course not be writing a proposal about another field or about any like my field. It should be in relation to your field and where you are heading to. And then this is the last. That was not the last. Module 8. We'll talk about. Okay, this is already it. Oh, this is repeated. Okay, so that's it. So we'll only have, I was right. We'll only have module 7. Okay, or 7 modules for this course. But as I've said, not every lesson will have the respective learning task and assessment task because that would be too much, okay, for you and for me. All right, so we'll just choose which lessons are really important and which would need tasks. Right? So we'll now talk about lifelong learning opportunities. So what can you get out from this course? So you will be able to adopt cultural and intercultural awareness and sensitivity in communication of ideas, appreciate the impact of communication on the society and the world. So first, why are we always talking about culture? Because if you will be especially if you go to another region or another country, for example, to work there, you have to be mindful of their culture and their practices so you will not offend them. Kay basin mapugutan tag ulo ngadto no, so it would be very dangerous. So we have to be very sensitive, not only in culture but also in gender. So we also have to respect others' gender, class, and also their culture. The students, you will also be able to write and present academic papers using appropriate tone, style, conventions, and reference style. So we'll also touch those. And then you will also be aware of how culture and global issues affect communication. All right. So this is more of recognizing the do's and don'ts in communication and how to be able to, or how you can be a really good communicator someday. So now I think you're also asking how I will be computing your grade. So this is now courses, assessment, and evaluation. So I am adopting the 50-50 division. So 15% from the midterm and 50% for the final term, and that will be your overall final grade. So how is the breakdown, or what is the breakdown? We have here learning tasks, assessment tasks. For the long examination, it will not be a long examination, but it will be in a form of midterm examination. And for the final part or final output, we'll have an output instead of an exam. Okay? So that is the division. Well, that could still be subject to changes, but I will just be informing you. Okay? For the course policies, first, I think you already know this one. We will have our official email account or address, so that's what I have sent you before, where you will send all your outputs as required. So please do not send your outputs to other, like to Moodle, for example, or to Messenger or group chat, because I have no time to look for your papers or look for your outputs somewhere else. And if I am holding my phone, that's only for informal conversations, okay, immediate conversations. So I'm not sitting down, bringing my class record. Okay, so if you submit there your output, I cannot have that recorded. Okay, so I will not be accepting any submission from other platforms unless you have submitted it submitted it to our email address. And then here we'll have a virtual meeting or consultation from time to time, but not regularly. So if you cannot attend our meeting, so just please inform me in advance so I can have that noted. And then all learning materials are found on Moodle, and also the links to the videos I'm uploading. So I am choosing, as I've said, I'm choosing to pre-record videos, so you can just go back to the video whenever you want to at your most convenient time and place. Okay, so your output should be sent to our official email address, which I sent to our group chat. Okay, so a copy of the syllabus can be downloaded from Moodle, so you can just get that from there. Also, make sure to follow deadlines set for every task given. Late submissions are still accepted, but it would be better to submit your outputs on time so I can have also enough time to check your submissions. Download and use the official format or template that can be found on Moodle. So I have it uploaded there. So please download that and please use that. I need those labels, I need those entries in every output I am checking for my guide too. So I would know what specific learning task or what specific assessment task are you submitting. And then all other instructions will be discussed during our consultation time. So please take your time to ask questions, make use of the time when I'm around, because that's the only time I can answer your questions real time. Then always keep your lines open. All right, so now for your assignment. So this will be our first assignment for this semester. First exercise. By any means, make a creative self-introduction. You can actually do a speech. You can actually submit a video, TikTok, a poster, a digital art, it's a sketch, painting, song. So it could be anything. For this exercise, you can freely express yourself by choosing a medium of your choice. Okay, so just make sure that you have these entries. Make sure it's impactful. You have a meaningful purpose. So of course, this is for your self-introduction. So make sure that you have achieved that in your output. Make sure to include your name, your course, or expected job in the future, your location, your hobbies, areas of interest, activities you're involved in, your aims or objective in life. If you haven't thought of it yet, so you can just do a reflection here. What is your purpose in life? Like what do you plan to be in the future? So what do you want to be? Okay, what do you want to achieve? What do you want to see yourself maybe in 20 years time or 30 years time? And then achievements so far, your favorite or ideal person. So you can talk about the people you're looking up to. You can also include that. Your favorite things, your favorite color or movies, depending on how you will express it in your output. Strengths and weaknesses, likes and dislikes, any life-changing point. If you want to make a comics, that would also be good. Alright, so it just depends on how you will express yourself in any life-changing point. So this could be any point in your life where you have realized something big, or you have made a huge change in yourself, in your life. Differentiation, describe how illustrate how the different life experiences molded your personality now. Okay, are you a mature person because of certain events in the past? So you can also show. All right, so I think that would be it for for the introduction to the course. And if you have some questions, please reserve that during our consultation meeting, and I will answer all of those. All right, I think that's it for this video. See you. God bless and take care, everyone.